It started with a knock on my door that had the sharp, irritated rhythm only one person on my street could manage. You know the type, the kind of knock that makes your shoulders tense before you've even opened the door. And sure enough, when I pulled it open, there she was, Karen, my neighbor, the self-appointed guardian of the cul-de-sac. Arms crossed like two iron bars, lips pressed so tight they looked like a single line of lipstick red resentment. She didn't even bother with, "Hello, we need to talk about your tree," she said, pointing past me toward my yard like she was delivering a legal summons. I blinked at her, momentarily confused. My tree? Yes, that asterisk thing. Asterisk, her whole face scrunched like she'd just bitten into a lemon. It's dropping leaves in my pool. It's blocking the morning sun from my kitchen window. And it makes the whole property look messy. Now, just for some context here, the tree she was referring to was a mature red maple. Not sick, not overgrown, not leaning like it was about to fall, just tall, healthy, and beautiful. It stood near the fence line on my side, proudly rooted where the previous homeowners had planted it over a decade ago. In the fall, it turned the most brilliant shade of scarlet. In the summer, its wide canopy shaded my lawn and half the driveway. Neighborhood kids had even tied a swing to one of its branches a few years back, and I'd left it up. It was asterisk, that asterisk kind of tree. Karen, on the other hand, was asterisk, that asterisk kind of neighbor. "You're going to have to cut it down," she continued, as if it was the only logical conclusion. I laughed, thinking she was joking. "Karen, it's been there for years. It's nowhere near your house. It's affecting my property value," she said sharply, as though the words had the weight of a court order. "I've already spoken to a few friends on the whole board. Here we go." I took a deep breath. "Karen, I'm not in the HOA. Our side of the street opted out, remember?" She frowned like I'd just insulted her lineage. "It doesn't matter. I've already checked. That tree might be infringing on the setback line." Now, I had done my homework when I bought the house. I knew exactly where the property lines were. That tree was a good 3 feet inside my boundary. But I also knew Karen didn't care about facts. She cared about getting her way, or still. I tried to stay calm. "I'm not cutting down the tree. It's healthy, it's mine, and it's staying." Her eyes narrowed like a hawk locking onto a mouse. "You'll regret being difficult." She turned on her heel and stomped off, muttering about some people and the city needing to tighten regulations. I closed the door and exhaled slowly, wondering if this was the end of it or just the beginning. Spoiler alert, it was. Definitely the beginning. 2 days later, a city code enforcement officer showed up at my house, clipboard in hand, polite but clearly annoyed that he'd been called out for this. I offered him a cup of coffee while he walked around the yard with his little laser measurer and double-checked my lot lines. When he came back to the porch, he smiled. "Looks fine to me. Tree's healthy, not over any lines, no code violations." I nodded. "Karen called you, didn't she?" He gave a chuckle. "I'm not supposed to say, but you're not the first neighbor she's filed a complaint about." That was comforting in a frustrating kind of way. At least it wasn't personal. Karen was just like that with everyone. Still, the whole thing annoyed me. I had things to do, and dealing with a busybody neighbor trying to uproot my tree wasn't on my to-do list. But if I thought that was the end of it, I was wildly mistaken. Over the next week, she escalated. One morning, I found a pile of leaves dumped in the center of my driveway, clearly raked from her yard. Later that day, I caught her pointing her phone over the fence, taking pictures of my tree like she was gathering evidence for a trial. She posted passive-aggressive rants in the neighborhood Facebook group, complaining about selfish homeowners who endanger others with dangerous landscaping choices. No names, of course, but everyone knew who she was talking about. Then came the latter incident. I pulled into my driveway one afternoon to see Karen balancing on a stepladder, clippers in hand, trying to reach one of the lower branches that hung a few inches past the fence. "Hey," I shouted, jumping out of the car. "You can't cut my tree." She nearly toppled off the ladder. "It's hanging over my yard. Barely. And that doesn't give you the right to just climb up and start cutting. It's a hazard." She screamed back. "And if you won't do something about it, I will." I took out my phone and started recording. "Great. Then let's document this for the city too." That did the trick. She huffed, climbed down, and stormed back into her house, slamming the door hard enough to rattle my windows. That night, I sat on my back deck staring up at the maple, its leaves glowing gold under the setting sun. I felt angry, sure, but mostly, I felt tired. I didn't want a war, I just wanted to live in peace. But with Karen around, peace wasn't on the menu. So I thought about it. Thought hard. I could report her for trespassing, sure, but that would just invite more drama. I could ignore her and hope she got bored, but that hadn't worked so far. What I needed was a response, not petty, not cruel, but smart. Something that would send a clear message. I'm not here to play, but I won't stoop to your level either. That's when the idea hit me. It started as a joke in my head, then grew into something else. What if I didn't just defend the tree? What if I doubled down? What if one tree became 10? And just like that, the plan was born. A quiet, satisfying kind of revenge rooted, not in anger, but in green, leafy defiance. The morning the landscaping crew arrived, I made sure to be outside watering the lawn with the biggest grin I could muster. A bright orange truck rolled up with a trailer loaded full of trees, tall, healthy evergreen beauties, not saplings either. These were nearly full-grown Leyland cypresses, known for their rapid growth, dense foliage, and excellent use as privacy screens. I ordered 10, a perfect, even number, one for every time Karen had knocked on my door since I moved in. The workers stepped out and started unloading the trees carefully, using harnesses and team lifts. I pointed to the east side of my yard, where the property line ran straight along the fence that separated me from Karen's place. Each tree would go just inside the line, no more than an inch or two on my side, but well within legal limits. I'd already had the land surveyed again to be absolutely sure. If Karen wanted to play the rules and regulations game, she was going to lose on the technicalities she worshipped. I didn't have to wait long. The rumble of the crew's equipment had barely started when her blinds snapped open. I caught the faintest glimpse of her sharp eyes peeking through the slats. Less than 5 minutes later, her front door burst open, and out she came, hair up in curlers, slippers flapping, a fury in her step. She marched straight toward me like I'd personally insulted her ancestors. "What is this?" She snapped, waving an arm toward the trees. What are you doing?" "Planting," I said, without turning off the hose. "They're privacy trees, fast-growing, great shade, and completely on my property. You can't just plant a wall of trees." Her voice shot up an octave. "It's obstruction. It's deliberate." I smiled and nodded. "Oh, it's definitely deliberate." Her mouth dropped open in disbelief. "You're retaliating." "Retaliating? No, Karen. I'm landscaping, improving my property." I figured, if my one tree was bothering you so much, maybe I needed a few more to make sure our yards stayed separate. "You spiteful little..." "I've already checked with the city," I added, cutting her off. "These trees are allowed. No height limit. No violation. I even have the surveyor's flag markers, see?" I pointed to the little orange flags still stuck in the grass along the line. She looked like she was about to explode. Her fists were clenched, her eyes darting between the trees and the workers, who were now busy digging holes with augers and setting up irrigation lines. The foreman gave her a polite wave, then turned his attention back to the work like she was just background noise. It probably drove her crazy that no one took her seriously. "Mark my words," she spat, jabbing a finger in the air like she was casting a curse. "You'll regret this. You don't know who you're messing with." "Oh, Karen," I said sweetly. "I think I do." With that, she stormed back into her house, slamming the door hard enough to shake her porch. Columns. The workers finished installing all 10 trees by the end of the afternoon. They stood like a green fortress along the fence, beautiful, tall, and thick with pine needles. They'd only grow denser and taller with time, and best of all, they completely blocked Karen's view of my yard, my house, and anything else happening on this side of the line. But nature had more gifts to offer. You see, Leyland cypresses shed not huge leaves like a maple, but tiny needles, constantly. And with the way the wind tended to blow across our yards, guess which direction those needles tended to fall? That's right, Karen's pristine garden beds and chlorine-scented pool were soon peppered with a delicate rain of green every week. Her concrete walkway needed sweeping every day. A few needles would land in her bird bath or skim across her hot tub cover. The same woman who'd freaked out over a handful of maple leaves now had a whole new problem, and one she couldn't do a damn thing about. Of course, she tried. A week after the trees went in, I found another complaint taped to my mailbox, an official-looking note, citing a supposed nuisance vegetation violation. I brought it inside, poured myself a drink, and called the city inspector, who confirmed it had already been dismissed, no violations, again. He even complimented my excellent choice in natural fencing. Then came the sign. It appeared one morning on her front lawn, hammered into the grass, *house for sale, by owner, *no realtor, no agency, just Karen, apparently deciding that if she couldn't control the neighborhood, she'd try to escape it. She held a few open houses, but it was hard to make the backyard look inviting with a giant green wall casting a shadow over half the lawn. People came, nodded, toured, and left. The listing disappeared quietly a few weeks later. Her next strategy was to pretend the trees didn't exist. For a while, she stopped speaking to me entirely. No glares, no comments, no more complaints. But I saw her out there every few days with a rake or a leaf blower, attacking the pine needles like they were ants at a picnic. She had a plastic, then marked tree debris that she'd slowly fill up, day after day. Sometimes I'd wave. She never waved back. Months passed. The trees flourished. I added a small bench on my side of the line, just far enough that I could sit in the shade of the evergreens and enjoy a book without seeing her house. It was peaceful. Birds nested, squirrels played. My yard became a little oasis, and the best part, no more knocks, no more lectures, no more unsolicited opinions about my landscaping choices. The final chapter came in spring. I walked out one morning to find a different car in her driveway, newer, nicer. A young couple was standing near the porch, chatting with a contractor. They smiled when I waved. One of them asked about the trees, and I told them they were mine and offered complete privacy. "That's awesome," the guy said. "We've been looking for a place with no neighbor drama." I grinned. "Then you're gonna love it here." A few weeks later, the moving truck arrived. Karen's furniture disappeared box by box. Her garden gnome collection was packed into crates. The for sale sign reappeared, this time with a realtor's logo, and before long, she was gone. As her car rolled down the street, I stood in my front yard, sipping lemonade, watching the sunlight stream through the green curtain of trees. Just before she turned the corner, I caught her looking at me through the window. I raised my glass. She didn't wave. I didn't mind. Some people plant trees for shade, some for fruit. I planted mine for peace, and peace, it turns out, is the most satisfying thing to grow.